from the MCPLive.tv studios, located in downtown Conroe. It's the Conroe Art League, live.
Hello, and welcome to Cal Live, the show that introduces you one by one to the artists of the Conroe Art League. My name is Jennifer Clausen, and I am pleased to be your host. Today, I am speaking with Susan Hotard. Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to share your story and your art at Cal Live.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for inviting me.
You bet. I was so appreciative to sit down and learn a little bit about you a few days back, and I'd really love for everyone else to hear your story too.
Thank you.
Would you mind sharing around your early childhood and the way you grew up with art in your family?
Well, both my mother and father were very creative and very artistic. And my father grew up in Glen, Illinois, and he attended the Art Institute of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, and he was very, very creative. He was a blacksmith. He bought and sold cars. He bought airplanes, built airplanes, flew airplanes, got his instrumental license, became an aerobatic pilot, bought and sold pit specials, which are aerobatic airplanes. Anyway, and if you happen to drive in our neighborhood and you passed by our mid-century modern house, you might have seen a mini biplane in our carport, or you might have seen a bright yellow Corvette.
Oh.
I mean, you never knew.
Yeah, both of those things fly.
Mm-hmm. And this was in Shreveport, Louisiana. That's where I grew up. And my mother grew up in Austin, Texas. And she went to the University of Texas and majored in art. Mm-hmm. And she was very creative. And my grandmother moved back to Shreveport after my grandfather died. She was widowed at a young age, 38, 40, something like that. So she moved. It was natural for her to move back to her parents' house in Shreveport. So that's how she wound up moving from Austin to Shreveport, living there again. So to occupy her mind, she opened up a gift and candle shop in Shreveport. And she was saying, well, if Shreveport can handle a symphony and they can handle an opera guild, they could handle a candle antique gift shop. Yeah. That was her thinking.
True businesswoman.
I don't know how much money they made, but it was to occupy her. So they were all eccentric, but she had a very strong personality, and if she didn't care for you as a customer, she would invite you to leave and never come back.
I understand you guys had tea parties and all sorts of things at the candle shop too.
Yeah, we had tea parties. The postman would come in and deliver the mail, and he would sit and have a little demi-tasse cup of coffee and sit down and gossip, and the UPS guy would come in, and then the neighbor women would come in, and if my gran didn't feel like waiting on a customer, she would have her friends or the next customer, or we children, if we were home from school doing our homework, we would wait on the customers. And then my sister and I went to Dallas Market, the big city of Dallas, to go shopping for the shop twice a year from the second grade on, so that was a very good experience. And my father, this all pertains to learning art, my father gave me lessons, so gave me drawing lessons, I remember in the third grade, and learning how to shade and looking for form and casting reflections in the water, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But when I was 4, he was doing a pastel portrait of me. And so I was fascinated. Look at the eyes. And so I decided I wanted to do a self-portrait. So I did probably 24 of them. And I would do what he did. I painted drew with a crayon the irises and pupil and highlight and stuff at 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so my gran, my father, and my mother pronounced me an artist. So from then on out, I got art books at Christmas time and whenever there was an art class at the Park and Recreational Spar, I would go there and study. And my 5th grade teacher would have me stay in and do my artwork rather than going out at recess, which was fine with me. And then I took all the art classes from junior high school all through high school.
Are you grateful that they were so good at trying to nourish your
Oh,
creative side?
I am now. Back then I was thinking, they think that's the only thing I can do, which actually it is the only thing I can do.
Well, like you had told me before, whatever you dedicate your time to, that's what you are going to get good at.
Well, that's true.
So,
And God gave me the ability to do this.
mhm.
And then I realized that I really wasn't using it. In Exodus 35:35, it says in there that God gave each artisan and craftsman his ability to perform his craft. And so I realized he did give me that gift. It's an ability, but of course you have to study and you have to learn everything about it. It just doesn't like, oh, I'm an artist and I can do it all. It takes a lot of hard work
Certainly.
and study. So in college, it was natural to go from this shop to become an interior designer, a major in interior design at Louisiana Tech.
Okay.
And that was very good. So I got my BFA in interior design, and at Louisiana Tech, it was in the art and architecture department. And Miss Mary Moffett had gone to some fine schools. She studied at Columbia in New York and Fontainebleau. And it was one of the top 10 design schools in the country back then.
This was one of your main professors in the interior.
The interior design professor.
Oh.
So you either worked for her
Yes.
or you didn't, and you would change your major really quickly.
Yeah.
So my freshman and sophomore year, we did everything, took all the classes that the architects took. So, and all my electives were art. I mean, whatever I could take was art. But in our curriculum, we had drawing, we had drafting, we had Design 101, we had the next design, we had color design,
Mhm.
drafting. So when I got to Miss Mary Moffett, and we chose all the fabrics and the furniture and all that because we had learned drafting, and of course we took it further. So I would draw, for example, that chair. I would draw the chair inside a box, and then I would take that chair and use the T-square and triangles and make it go to either 1-point perspective or 2-point perspective, however, whatever the vanishing points were. And I would draw that chair and paint the shadows on the correct side. I would establish where the light source was.
Mhm.
And so if the light source is there, the shadows on the side, and so forth. And if we had tile on the floor, all that was in perspective too. I mean, it was such good training.
Sure.
And then we had to make up shadows, like shadows were at a 45-degree angle. So we had to make up, okay, the shadow is there, 45-degree angle, what does it do? What does that chair do when it hits the floor? We had to think of all that. And then if the chair had fabric, or the walls had a fireplace, it had architectural elements, we had to think about that. It was so good. And one time, we did these history plates. So this period was French neoclassical, I think. And so I picked out these Louis the IV chairs, and I picked out this Watteau watercolor to go above the fireplace, and I did all that. So I painted this little Watteau watercolor, and I put an Aubusson rug on there, and I painted all this had to be in perspective. It was just, and the draperies, design the draperies, and that's all the shadows in there. So, and we learned about textiles. So it was very, very good training.
Mhm.
And I took all the painting that I could. We had a very good watercolor teacher, and he might still be around teaching watercolor. He would go around teaching workshops.
Yeah. I can imagine, as an artist, you kind of go through the traditional studio classes and drawing classes and color theory, but it has to be a whole different concept to need to do that in the design arena and certainly in the architecture departments. So I think it must have been an amazing experience for you, adding more depth to your still lives and adding a nice background to portraits that people take for granted. I think it's tougher to do those backgrounds. How do you feel about that?
Oh, well, it definitely applied to that. And the color design helped a lot too, the color theory and everything. So I worked as an interior designer for years and raised our son and my husband and our son, and I lived in New Orleans. My husband's from New Orleans.
Okay.
I grew up in Shreveport. So he lived in New Orleans, raised his entire life, and I lived there for 31 years. So after, I don't remember why. Oh, I know, when I took this big Bible study, this great big Bible study, we were studying the life of Moses. And I read that passage in Exodus 35:35. I go, oh my gosh, I have the ability, I'm not really using my skill. I better start painting. So I had always wanted to go to the New Orleans Academy of Fine Art. And I went to their student exhibition, which is every May. And I go, this place is fabulous. I want to go there. So I signed up for a course. This was in 1999. And I didn't feel like I had really learned everything about watercolor that I wanted to know when I was at Louisiana Tech. So I took beginning watercolor and I took beginning oil painting. And the founder of the academy, Alciklis Ozuls from Latvia, came and he saw my work. He would walk through classes and everything. He goes, you're ready to come study with me. And he walked off. And I was thinking, Alciklis, I haven't had, all your prerequisites. I really had in the past, but I wanted to do it the academy way. And he walked off and I go, okay. I was on cloud nine. If Alciklis says I'm ready to come study with him, I better register for his class. And at the time, people would get up at 5:30 in the morning and sit outside almost in their pajamas to register for his class. It was hard to get into. So I took advanced still life with him, and I took portrait painting with him. And I eventually took everything with him. And then when we had the student show, I won the highest award in the whole school. And I go, oh my gosh. So that meant that I won tuition for an entire semester.
Oh, wow.
One of the long semesters. So I took every class I could.
Yes.
And so then I took from Dale Weller, because my beginning oral teacher there, Daniel Bro, said, okay, take from Alciklis and learn from him, and then take from Dale and learn from him, because Alciklis was very, very particular. Drawing and everything was exact. Look, planes of the head, drawing, everything was very precise, the academy way. And Dell was more like feeling. He had very good drawing, but it was feeling and color and edges, loose edges, hard edges.
Yeah.
And so then I learned about Velázquez and John Singer Sargent. And he said, in New Orleans, the closest painter living now is Everett Raymond Kinsler. So we took a little field trip to Ochsner Hospital, and we saw the portrait that he did of 3 or 4 doctors. And it was Everett Raymond Kinsler, and that stuck in my head. So when I went to the Portrait Society of America, Everett Raymond Kinsler sat right next to me, and he's such a friendly people person. He started talking to me, and he wrote down on this little scrap of paper when he taught workshops in Wisconsin at Richardson School and at the Art Students League in New York.
Okay.
So I was able to take workshops from him, portrait workshops for 4 or 5 years every Valentine's weekend for years until he got too decrepit to teach.
Yeah, well.
Oh, so blessed. So he was very influential.
Sounds like you've had a lot of talented people in your journey as an artist.
You have to look to the best people, and as Del Willer said, go to the best museums to see the best artwork.
Yeah.
So that you have that inside your being.
You do have to, I did a class with Cynthia Reed called The Artist's Way, and they do talk about doing an artist date to re-nourish and refill up your basket so you can be a creator that is constantly being challenged and finding new rhythms and colors that you don't tend to look at or think about if you're just stuck in your studio.
Oh, that's so important.
Yeah.
Because if you just stay in your studio and you paint the same way, have the same formula, you start the same way, and you wind up the same way, I could not be like that. So I'm constantly experimenting.
Yes.
And I'm constantly thinking about what the next painting's going to be. And I don't know how somebody could say, oh, that's a Susan Hotard. I wouldn't know what a Susan Hotard was.
I think some people do know. Are there any other artists that you've worked with over the years that have had an influence on your work or your style?
Well, those are the most influential, but I've taken from everybody a lot of workshops, a lot of studying. And so since 2003, I was asked to teach a workshop. Scared me half to death. But anyway, I think I've taught about 40 workshops since 2003.
And you think you'll do one with the Conroe Art League?
Well, I will in October if we have people sign up.
Well, that's
It'll
fantastic.
be a clothed figure workshop.
Okay.
And I love to teach. I love to share my knowledge. I think that's another gift that God gave me. In fact, I think that's in the passage too, that same passage about teaching, or it's later on in Exodus.
About being a craftsman
and about teaching.
Yeah, okay. And so what subjects inspire you the most?
I like painting people.
Yeah, quite a bit more. I hope that's what we get to see here at the end of the session when we go through some of your paintings.
Yeah, people. And I like still life too.
Yeah.
But I really like people. And now that I'm a grandmother, I adore painting my granddaughter because she poses. I don't have to direct her or anything. She just does her own thing. So she inspires me. And then we have a grandson too. But he's a boy and he doesn't do posy things.
I'm sure he's probably a little more jumpy and won't sit still very long.
Oh yes, he's a boy. So I did paint him as Harry Potter. He was Harry Potter one Halloween. So I did paint him as Harry Potter.
That must have been exciting for you.
Yeah, that was fun.
Do you have any memberships or awards that you'd like to share with us today? I know you're quite renowned and have many accolades, but maybe you could share a few of them with us.
Well, I'll tell you what the top awards are. So, well, when we get to the artwork, I'll go over that. But the professional organizations I belong to, Oil Painters of America, which is a fabulous organization of 3,600 artists. And I'm so blessed that I got into their national show this year. If you imagine 3,600 artists and they submit, they're not all going to submit, but you can submit 2 paintings to be juried in. 3,600 times 2, only 220 were accepted into the national show. So Susie Baker and I are in, and I think Chang Lin got in. So, and you never know whether you're going to get it or not. It's just you submit whatever you like that you think is your best at that time, and you either get in or you don't get in.
Sure.
So Oil Painters of America, and American Impressionist Society, NOAPS, which is National Oil and Acrylic Painters Society of America, I think. Well, NOAPS, we call it NOAPS.
Quite a long name.
I don't know. I joined it after they had already named it. Portrait Society of America and Ottoman Artists Incorporated in New York City. And I forgot to tell you, I did win a gold medal from them.
Yes. I know you had told me something about Portrait Society Top 50, is that right?
Top 50. That was an honor to get into the top 50 international competition.
Yeah.
I don't remember what year that was, but I'll show you that painting too.
Oh, great. I'm
So-
sure the guest here will be happy to see it.
And then I think of this as being an award too, being asked to include my paintings in the Encyclopedia of Oil Painting Techniques.
Okay, and can you find that on Amazon or at local
Oh, you can,
bookstores?
yes.
Okay, I'm going to show it
Target,
here just
I know
in
you can
case
still
anyone
find
is
it at
interested.
Target.
There you are.
That's the updated version. I think a lot of people have the old version and they updated it.
And so this book goes over oil painting techniques, and they show a few of your paintings as certain things to do there.
Examples, so the two paintings that they selected, 2 paintings of mine they selected, is in the portrait section.
Okay.
So one painting is under their children's portraits. There's only 3 in there. And then under skin tones in
Okay.
portraits. So I was so honored. There's only 35 artists in that book.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's all a blessing, and it's not anything that I've done. I mean, I've studied and everything, but you just have to put your artwork out there, and somebody might like it or they might not like it. But I would encourage people to show their work and submit to shows.
I appreciate you saying that, Susan, because I know that is one of the hardest things for us as artists to do is get yourself out there, and fear of rejection and everything that goes along with it. But you're right, if you don't get out there, then
Well, then you won't get in.
that's right.
And also fear of rejection. I mean, you have to get over that. And you have to get over other artists whom you ask to critique your work. You have to get over, you have to have a thick skin. Actually, I beg good artists to please critique my work.
Okay.
Tell me where I can get better. Tell me what I can improve. Tell me what to keep. Yeah, that's what you tell you what you should keep, and then tell you how to improve. And you just have to work hard. And I might know a lot, but I don't know everything. I'm gonna die with the paintbrush in my hand because I'm gonna be studying and trying to learn and experiment forever. And if some artist you come across and they think they act like they know everything, run away from them. Because if they think they know everything, they don't know enough.
They'll be stagnant for sure.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
No, I think it's good advice. So what are you working on right now?
Oh, I just finished a painting of my granddaughter when she was dancing in front of a mirror. I took a whole bunch of pictures of her dancing, looking at herself in the mirror. And so I wanted it to be about action and dancing and the color palette. So it's a blue background, blue and lavender with a little bit of yellow in the background, and then some pink. And then her skin is orange, so it's complementary palette mainly. It's blues, blue and orange, but then a secondary complementary palette of yellow and lavender.
Oh.
And then I have all soft edges, and she's all moving around. And then in the golden section, I have some hard edges. So I have the brightest color, the hardest edge. Those are the and I have all of her arms. She does have a lot of arms in that painting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All her arms pointing to herself. So that's one way to lead a viewer into your painting.
Well, certainly. Will you plan to show that at the Conroe Art League, or where can people see that work?
Well, they can see it right now on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. What is your address, if you have that off the top of your head? If not, I might be able to help you with that.
Why don't you help me?
All right. I believe your Instagram is shotard1, and your Facebook is Susan susan.hotard.9. And website is susanhotardartist.com. So that'll be exciting. Why don't we swap over to the paintings that we have, and you can explain a little bit about each one of those.
Thank you, Jennifer. So the first one that we have is entitled Sophie Backlit. And that just came off the brush. I did a little study, value study, a 5x7 value study before I started it, because I wanted to have that very bright background,
Yes.
very light, thick background,
Mm-hmm.
but her face had to be midtones because I had to leave room for the darks.
Mm-hmm.
So mid-tone, so you can put the lights and the darks in there. And that one just came off the brush. It was Holy Spirit coming off my brush.
Just a quick, easy.
Yeah, just
almost.
a few hours. One morning it just came off. Oh, Lord, please send me some more of those.
Yeah.
So that one won first place in the Oil Painters of America's online show in the signature division.
Oh, wow.
So that was very exciting. So I won a lot of money. I didn't win a medal that time. And also that's the one that got into the top 50 of the Portrait Society
Oh, that
of
same
America.
one. Okay. So a
And-
lot of people do like that one.
Yes, and a fellow artist bought it. A
Okay.
fellow artist that paints portrait in Nashville saw it, and she bought it before the show opened. So that's always such an honor when I have a fellow artist that
It is.
I like that. They're usually the ones that buy my paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that painting was also in American Impressionist Society online show. And so I had this gallery director call me and leave a message on the machine. I was cooking caponata, and I didn't feel like answering the phone, so she left this very nice message, and I called her back the next day. And I instantly loved her. She said, "You had the best painting in the American Impressionist Society." That's her opinion. She goes, and I looked at your biography, and it said that you graduated from Byrd High School in Shreveport. She goes, "I graduated from Byrd High School in Shreveport. You majored in interior design at Louisiana Tech. I majored in interior design at Louisiana Tech." Just all of these coincidences. And plus she talked like me. And we also lived on the same street, but at different times. And so I'm in the gallery, this gallery 330 in Fredericksburg.
Oh,
Texas.
so if anyone's visiting Fredericksburg,
I have some
it's a
pieces.
great place to see some of Susan's work as well.
That's so funny. So, and this one, this is Asian Preciousness. So this darling girl, Chang, Lynn brought her to pose for us, and I think she was 9 years old at the time. She started out with that very erect posture, and then as each 20 minutes went by, she,
Slowly slumped
Precious.
over more and more, huh?
yeah, darling girl. Anyway, I did do a study from life, so I have the colors and everything, or personality. But I always had looked at my photos, you know how you have thousands of photos? I go, I want to paint that girl, I want to paint that girl. So finally, it came her time, I painted her. It was right after our grandchildren. We had our grandchildren for 7 weeks during the pandemic, and they had gone home, and I painted her, but that was my first painting, and that came off the brush too. And it won the silver medal in the Oil Painters of America's salon show.
Oh,
And it's a beautiful, heavy silver medal. It's all inscribed and everything, plus money. That was fun.
and our third piece, let's share this with the viewers.
I think that's called Flow Blue and Daisies, or Daisies and Flow Blue. That's my great-grandmother's Flow Blue picture.
Mm-hmm.
And she lived in Brenham, Texas.
Oh, just like the bluebonnets there.
Right, and she painted blue bonnets too. That's another family member that was creative. And that that I sent to Mary's Gallery, Gallery 330, and someone I think that lives in Fredericksburg bought that painting.
Okay. So you won't be able to see that, boys and girls.
Not unless you
Ladies
know
and
this
gents.
person. And right now, I don't know her name, but I do have it written down somewhere. But that was painted solely from life. It was alla prima, just one session.
Yes.
Oh, it was thrilling. But they're not all like that. I paint all these failures. I paint lots and lots of bad paintings. But a few of them are okay.
Well, it's the only way you learn, and I
Right.
think they're more than okay. I think several societies have been able to commend you for your talents and your hard work and the movement that you create in them and the different lighting. I think they're definitely works to see in person, so we hope to see you at the Conroe Art League or possibly in Fredericksburg as well.
Thank you. Well, now that I know where Conroe Art League, I found you, I think it was in the fall, and I joined. And now I feel comfortable driving to Conroe. The last time I came here was for the opening 10 years ago because Terry Harris showed me here. She's a member.
Well, we appreciate Terry sharing the Conroe Art League with you, and we look forward to more artist members bringing in their friends and sharing the Conroe Art League. To see more of Susan Hotard's work, as well as the work of the other members of the Conroe Art League, please visit us at the Best Little Gallery in historic downtown Conroe at 127 Symington Street. We are open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Join us at the gallery where we live by our creed: create, appreciate, learn.